Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day. And first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for your time. Typically what I'll do, it's cool to see sometimes I'll be in Pittsburgh, or even now if I travel to different places in the country, you know, I'll have people stop sometimes and say, I listen to the GRINDcast and appreciate the time you put in. And my first initial thought is always humbling, because it's like, man, that person took time out of their day. They could have been doing anything else. They could have spent time with their family. They could have called a friend. They could have called their grandparents. They could have done anything else with that moment. And they chose to give it to you in hopes that you could add value to their life. Man, how special and how much pressure is that? And that's why we're doing this, you know, over here, is just to impact people and help people with some of the experiences that have been afforded to me and us on the pain of the come up, and to share ideas and get other great minds to add value to listeners also. So today, what we want to touch on is the difference between a 7 and a 10, effort, that is. So, you know, recently I was down at the youth program here in Pittsburgh. Shout out to Steel City Impact and all the folks that help, from the board members to the people in the community that support, to the parents, the kids, anybody that supports and believes in that mission, because it truly does take a team and it takes a village. So I was down there with the opportunity to speak to the kids recently, and on the spot, you know, somehow I got on the subject of the difference between a 7 and a 10 effort in life, because I was helping one of the kids with the homework. And I realized how smart this kid was. Very humbling when you're in business and you struggle to help a high school kid with their homework, okay? So I had to ask, I'm there to try to help the kids, and I had to ask the tutor to tutor me on the math problem, okay? And this kid's blowing through it. And so I'm like, okay. I'm like, now you told on yourself, right? Because now I see how smart you are. So I start inspecting his grades, and as I go down the list of grades, it's not what he's capable of. So I start asking him, how much effort do you put in? And he told me a 7. And so I got on a tangent with him, and then I ended up talking to the whole group about the difference in life between a 7 effort or an 8 effort and a 10 effort. People think is small because it sounds small, right? 8 and 10. Not that big a difference, right? It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. 10 out of 10 effort can make or break your life. See, I never was big enough in sports. I never was fast enough. I wasn't the strongest. I wasn't the most talented. So my way onto the field and to be a captain in high school and college was effort. And that is what I prided myself on in business, is just effort and work ethic. And so I was trying to explain, and I'm going to do the same thing with you. You know, if we could look at the statistics, and I know people, you know, when you start, I don't want to only use money. The older I get, the longer I'm on earth, the less that I value money. I still value it. I still can't buy a hamburger because I'm a nice guy. They say, oh, you're a nice guy, here's a free hamburger, right? Definitely can't buy anything with my good looks. They say sometimes I got a face only a mother could love. So it can't be, right, Josh? We had to take 142 pictures in order to get one average picture of me smiling. Then people wonder why I don't smile. I don't got a great smile. And so it's if you could just grasp, let me talk about money for a minute, because it's the statistic that I could think of. They say the top 1% of America earns $400,000 a year or more. They say the top 5% earn $100,000 or more, and 3% make over $200,000. So that means 90% of America makes less than 100,000, at least 85%. So let's say that was only because of effort, which it's not always, but let's just use that as and say, look, if I was 90 out of 100 is 9 out of 10, right? That would get me 100,000. What if I was 80 percentile instead of or top 20%? If we were looking at like just top 20, 15 to 20% of Americans, what do they earn? What do you think that number would be? I would say 60,000, 50. That's my guess. I didn't look it up. That's 50 to 60,000. So the difference between an 85, which is 8.5 out of 10, and a 99, which is a almost 10 out of 10, is 7 times the amount in income, but it's not 7 times the amount in the number. So I think people get mistaken when they're like, man, how hard did you try? And they're like, man, I tried like an 8. And I feel like when a kid tells me like an 8, they're like proud of themselves. And don't worry, I don't discourage the kids and beat them down. But the 10, people got to understand the difference that 10 effort is going to smash 8 effort. It's not going to be close. It's going to be miles away. It's going to look drastic. And people that are given 7, 8s, and 8.5 effort out of 10, they get frustrated and wonder why it's not happening bigger, faster, stronger, or more for them because they don't understand the difference between the 10 and the 9 or the 10 and the 8. What is your 10? Everybody's 10 is different. What is your 10? Let's say your 10 is, I got to stay at the office till 9. I'm building something till 9. I'm going to use some things in our business, right? So a 10 stays till 9 or 10. We used to be in people's homes 2 hours away till 10. I'd drive home till midnight. That'd be like being in the office till midnight. But let's say, it's a lot easier now. So people that stay and work till 9 or after is a 10. And people that stay and work till 8 is a 9 or an 8.5. And people that stay and work till 7:30 is a 7 or an 8. Or Saturdays, we go 8 to 1 on Saturdays. 10, we go 8 to 2, 8 to 3. 8 effort goes 11 o'clock to 4 or 5 or 7 or whatever it is. It's like, oh, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Those small things of effort over the long haul make a huge deal. And here's the danger. The danger is in the talented person that doesn't know he's getting caught or she's getting caught by the less talented person. Because I have usually been the less talented person. So I could tell you from my eyes what this looks like. This looks like this girl or guy is super talented. But I see them not showing up to practice on time, not putting in the extra effort in the weight room, not showing up to the office early, leaving the office early, not working weekends, smoking and drinking on the weekends in college when we should be training and preparing for our sport. But they're talented. And so what happens is that talent, I'm down here and I'm looking up at them and I work so hard. I have to put in so much work, so many hours, so much effort and just to close the gap. And let's call that person a 10. Potential, skill set. And I'm a 7. And I'm watching that person and they're cutting corners and they're cutting corners. So the talent level in everything is a 10, but their effort and their work ethic and discipline is like a 6. So still combined, that's 8. 10 and 6 divided by 2, that's an 8, right? So the 8 is still better than me. If I'm giving max effort that today, that 10 is still freaking better than me, even if they're not doing all the right things, because their talent level is so much better than mine. It took me so much work just to now finally, after all this sacrifice, not drinking, not smoking, not doing this, not doing that in sports or in business, not going out on the weekends and going to work, or going to bed early and getting up early and going to work. I have to put in all this effort for a year. And now I'm an 8. Because my skill set and my natural God-given ability is a 7 or a 6, but my effort is a 10. And now I'm starting to compete with this person. So now what happens is I'm competing with this person. My skill set went up a little bit to a 7. It took me forever, but my skill set is at a 7. And then I had to do it again all year, all this sacrifice, all this. And this person, they didn't have to sacrifice. They didn't have to work no weekends. They could leave early because they're still an 8. And we're kind of doing the same. But anytime they want to get up and go, they could get up and go because they're a 10 talent, but they're a 6 work ethic. So if they turn it on, they could pass me real quick. So then what happens is the year later, it took me all these inches, all these hours, all this stuff. A year later, all of a sudden, my skill set, because of the 10 work ethic, my skill set went up to an 8 or a 9. This person's talent level and skill set is still a 10, still better than mine. But their work ethic is a 6, and now they can't change it. They're trying to now they're up to a 7 because they're pissed off that I'm passing them. So a 10 and a 7 is 17, but the 9 and the 10 is a 19. And so now they're pissed off that I'm passing them, but they're doing it with a 7 work ethic. They're working a little bit harder than they used to. So they're not, now I'm going to do it with an 8 work ethic, and I'm going to do it harder. Now I'm an 18, but I'm a 19 now. And the only way that person is going to ever catch up is if they go to being a 9 or a 10 with that work ethic. And all those talented people typically don't want to have that 10 discipline and work ethic. And so the person, that's why I'll take, and you see the video where they talk about the Navy SEALs, where they would take the 7 person that they could trust over a 10 skill set and effort or skill set. They'll take the 7 in the SEALs with the person that you could trust, the high trust level, because they're on time, they're disciplined, they work hard, all that. That's what ends up winning in life long term, y'all. So for those of you that are talented out there that you know you're not putting in the work that you should, here's the good news. They always say hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. But if you show me a talented, extremely talented person that works hard, 2, you smash everybody. That's the good news. The good news to the person that got a 7 skill set is you can make up for that you just got to put in a lot of work for a lot of time, and you'll catch the people that are just blessed with talent. And so it's hard to constantly over time get all in results if you're not bought in. You got to be bought in to the process. If you get results, but you're not all in and you're not completely bought in, those results are not here to stay. Those are just temporary results, and that's a bigger trap because you think you're doing things right and you could just coast on this level. That's going to collapse. It's about consistently building something that will consistently grow. If you're consistent and if you're all in and if you're bought in consistently, you're going to win over time. Most people fail with consistency. The test of greatness and the hallmark of excellence is consistency. I see it in our own business. Someone will come and they'll show their potential, and we'll have a big contest month, and their team and themselves will just do crazy things. Numbers that would change their families' lives. And then they come back the next 2 months and they don't do anything. They do less than half of what they did. So they went from A to a D. Why? I remember a man getting up and talking about sales at one time, and he's like, hey, what if you could think of your best sales presentation that you ever gave? Like, you hit it out of the park. Your energy, your attitude, the verbiage, everything you did. You're like, imagine if your best presentation, the best presentation you ever gave, and you sold them. Why don't you just do that every time? Why don't you just give your best presentation every time? So out of 10, if you're like, man, if I saw 10 people and I gave that presentation, how many of them would I have sold? And people, man, 10, 8, 9. Why don't you just give your best presentation every time? Why don't you just, what would your year look like if your best month was the effort that you gave every month? What if you gave your best every month? Because I could tell you there's no secrets on how our business got built. Is me and the leaders and people that built this, we gave our best every week. We gave our best every month. I don't remember it ever being like April different than March. Like we were trying to build something special that would last. So I didn't care if the company ran a contest or it was March or if it was November or if it was like, we were in here to build something. So those of you out there on the grind and on the hustle, whether you're in sports or you're building a business, ask yourself, if you gave your best consistently, what would happen? And if you're not giving your best consistently, what excuses are you allowing to take over your mind? Write them down and listen to how weak they are. Write down your excuses that go through your mind as to why you're not giving your best effort. Why your best month that you had, you can't do consistently every month. What are all the reasons? And then write down some strong answers and winning answers next to it and see if you could get that voice to take over the negative voice. Because I'm telling you, most of the people that I see out here in this world are not lacking ability. It really don't have much to do with ability. Thank God. I think what people are lacking is consistency, coachability, work ethic, and talking good to themselves in their mind, being positive, being nice to people, handling adversity, all things that are within your control. The good news is you control your own destiny. You control your own destiny. It's within your mind. It's within your heart. It's within your soul. So I just want to encourage you all out there. Let's step it up a notch. Understand, sevens. If you want to get to that 9 or 10, you can't give max effort for a week and wonder why you're not catching the talented person that's cutting corners and you're mad at them. Man, that person's getting away with it and they're not giving as much effort as me. Wah, 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 wah. Celebrate it. I was glad when I saw people not showing up to the weight room, not showing up for practice, not showing up for conditioning that I wanted to beat. I'm like, okay. I don't need to wonder why I can't skip like you can skip because you're talented. But what I do know is you let me get an edge on you today. And if you keep letting me get these edges, it may take me a year, but I'm going to get you. So what I'm calling for today out of the GRINDcast listeners, what I'm calling for is consistency. 10 effort. I'll even take a 9 for now. 9 and 10 efforts right now with some consistency, and then we'll check back in on you in this area in a couple months, okay? Hey, know that I'm down to interact. Also, I can't answer every single person all the time, so be nice to me. But I do, if somebody has good suggestions and messages or podcasts, like a lot of people will shoot me and they have questions. I can't call every person. I still owe my grandmother a call from a couple of days ago. She's going to kick my behind. Okay, I'm 2 days behind on a call back to my grandma. So it's going to be hard for me to talk to everybody. But if you have a special thing you want me to speak into that you think I could pour into your life or help you with, if you ask for that to be a podcast topic, I can do the podcast and speak to you and through you for an hour or a half hour on a microphone and try to get you that message wherever you're at in the world, wherever you're at in the country. Okay. Appreciate your time. Let's go give max effort. Let's do it consistently. Keep your head up. Keep grinding. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day.